Most people in their 20s didn't consciously decide to sign a contract with social media. It just kind of happened in the background while you were growing up. You wake up, check your phone, reply to a few messages, scroll a bit, watch a couple of videos, and it all feels harmless and normal. But somewhere between just checking and realizing half an hour disappeared, your 20s are being shaped by a feed you never designed and expectations you never really chose. This video is about that quiet trade you've been making for years. Your time, your focus, your confidence, and your sense of self, slowly getting negotiated away one scroll at a time. When you first made an account, it felt like you were just joining your friends somewhere new online, not signing up for a system that gets paid every time it keeps you staring at a screen. The trade was invisible. You got connection, entertainment, and a place to express yourself. And in return, these platforms got your attention, your data, and eventually your habits. Over time, checking in turned into default behavior. Open your phone in any boring moment, and you are right back in a feed that is designed to keep you there a little longer than you planned. Most people in their 20s never sat down and decided that random posts, strangers' opinions, and algorithm-picked content should shape their mood and focus every day. It just slowly became the background of life. And with it came a quiet cost you were never really told about. Once your attention is locked in, the next part of the deal shows up: constant comparison. One minute you are just catching up on what your friends are doing, and the next you are looking at people your age buying houses, traveling nonstop, getting promotions, hitting the gym at 5 a.m., and somehow still having a perfect social life. Your brain quietly turns all of that into a scoreboard, even though you're only seeing the best 1% of their lives and 0% of the boring, messy parts. The problem is that this comparison never really switches off. Even when you put your phone down and try to work on your own goals, those images are still in the back of your mind, making normal progress feel too slow and your actual life feel behind. Instead of being proud, you went to the gym twice this week, you feel lazy next to someone's 90-day transformation. Instead of being excited about saving a little money, you feel broke next to someone's luxury unboxing. Over time, that constant mismatch between your real timeline and everyone else's highlight reel can quietly drain your motivation. Not because you are doing badly, but because you are measuring yourself against a version of reality that does not actually exist. After enough time scrolling through fast, loud, always interesting content, normal life starts to feel slow. Sitting down to read, study, work on a side project, or even watch a full movie suddenly feels harder because your brain has gotten used to tiny hits of excitement every few seconds. That endless stream of reels, shorts, and notifications trains your attention to expect constant stimulation. So anything that does not reward you immediately feels boring, frustrating, or not worth it, even if it is exactly the kind of work that could change your life over the next few years. This is what dopamine debt looks like in your 20s. You keep reaching for your phone because it is the quickest way to feel a little better, but each swipe makes it harder to sit with discomfort, delay gratification, or focus deeply on one thing. Over time, the cost shows up in subtle ways. You procrastinate more, you abandon habits faster, and you struggle to stick with long-term goals because your brain has been conditioned to chase the next tiny hit instead of the bigger win that comes from staying with something hard. The wild thing about social media in your 20s is that it can make you feel busy and inspired while you are actually standing still. You can spend an hour watching hustle clips, morning routines, study hacks, and how I built my life videos, and walk away feeling like you were working on yourself. Even though nothing in your real life actually changed, your brain gets that little rush of motivation and insight, so it checks the box that says progress, but your to-do list, your bank account, your body, and your skills look exactly the same as they did yesterday. Over time, this creates a dangerous loop. Whenever you feel lost or behind, you open an app to get motivated, which makes you feel better for a moment, but also steals the time and focus you could have used to do one small, boring, real task. It is like watching other people work out and convincing yourself you exercise too. The more you consume content about productivity, success, and self-improvement without turning any of it into action, the easier it becomes to confuse learning with doing. And your 20s quietly slip by in that gap between the life you are watching and the life you are actually building. I guess you guys can understand what I'm really trying to say. Social media is not just something you use, it is quietly helping decide who you think you are. The more you watch, like, and share, the more the feed learns what gets a reaction out of you. And then it keeps feeding you versions of that over and over. If you interact with fitness content, you start to feel like you have to look a certain way. If you click on money videos, suddenly every other post is about getting rich fast, even if your real priority should be getting stable, not spectacular. Bit by bit, your sense of what is normal, what is urgent, and what success looks like is being nudged and edited by an invisible system that mainly cares about one thing: keeping you engaged. The scary part is how subtle it is. You might start changing how you dress, what you buy, what you post, and even what goals you chase, not because you truly chose them, but because those are the versions of life you have been shown the most. Instead of asking, what do I actually value? It becomes easier to chase whatever seems to get attention, approval, and likes. These years are when you are supposed to experiment, make mistakes, and figure out what matters to you. Your identity can slowly get shaped around what performs well on a screen, not what feels right when no one is watching. When you zoom out, the real damage social media does is not just wasted time, it is what you never build because you were half present the whole decade. You lose clarity because your brain is constantly filled with other people's opinions and lifestyles, leaving less space to hear your own thoughts and make your own decisions. Relationships get weaker because keeping up with people online replaces actually calling, meeting, and being fully there with the few people who really matter to you. Adulthood quietly gets delayed. Hard but necessary things, learning how to manage money, building real skills, taking career risks, having uncomfortable conversations, sitting with boredom while you figure out what you want, keep getting pushed to later because there is always one more video, one more scroll, one more distraction. You do not feel the cost in one big moment. You feel it when you look back and realize whole years were spent reacting instead of intentionally building a life. The goal is not to disappear from the internet. It is to stop living on autopilot inside it. That starts with putting a few simple speed bumps between you and the mindless scroll, turning off non-essential notifications, moving the worst apps off your home screen, and setting specific times of day when you check them instead of opening them every time you feel bored or stressed. Even small rules like no social media for the first hour after waking up, or only scroll after I've done my main task for the day, can flip your phone from something that pulls you around to something that waits for you. From there, you can turn your feed into a tool instead of a trap. Unfollow or mute accounts that constantly make you feel behind, angry, or not enough, and deliberately follow creators who teach you skills, make you think, or genuinely make you laugh without leaving you feeling empty afterward. Use lists, saved posts, or separate accounts if you need to divide learning from entertainment, so you know what you are opening the app for. Most importantly, make a deal with yourself. For every chunk of time you spend consuming content about success, health, money, or self-improvement, you will spend at least that much time doing one small action in your own life. That way, social media becomes a tool that supports the life you are building in these years instead of the place where you escape from it. Just remember, your 20s are the first decade where you get to be fully in charge of how your life turns out, and that is exactly why you cannot afford to hand the steering wheel to an endless feed. This is the moment to notice which apps leave you drained, which habits keep stealing your time, and which impulses are not really yours, and then start quietly rewriting those patterns. You do not have to quit everything or become perfectly disciplined overnight. You just have to prove to yourself, one small choice at a time, that your future is being built on your decisions, not on whatever happened to show up on your screen today.